AFCON champs shocks Roo missed away results after Champions Cup exit, and Rubakina cruises past Jovan to reach Australian Open second round. More details at 3:30.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Well, yesterday's conversation was all about the tragedy of the 14 school children who died. And today, then, would be, there's a shooting in Boysons in Johannesburg, again linked to a court and witnesses and the lawyer as well. That's one thing. There's also an update with regard to South Africa and Davos at the World Economic Forum. That, however, comes up later. But certainly the big issue of the day has got to be the return, once again, of the ad hoc committee, Parliament's ad hoc committee. So right now we have the former IPID head, Robert McBride, testifying. I can tell you earlier on, amongst the key issues that came up was the insistence that Paul O'Sullivan must come and testify. In fact, the committee chairperson, Soviet Lekhanyan, is saying, we will not be dictated to by Mr. Paul Sullivan about which parties he will engage with when testifying. O'Sullivan is not only requesting to appear virtually, he's insulting the Parliament of the Republic. And then the chief whip for the ANC, Chief Whip Ntuli, saying, when I read the emails he wrote, it was clear we are dealing with an individual treating Parliament with serious contempt. And more, it is important that he appears. He has been a central player, and it would be an injustice if we do not have him before. So essentially what's come through from the earlier part of today is the insistence that the committee, affirming its position, that all witnesses, in this case particularly Paul O'Sullivan, must appear in person in testifying. Right, one person who is in person is Robert McBride. My name is Ashraf Garda. Welcome to the show. What do you make of that? By the way, you can drop us a WhatsApp immediately. We'll bank your comments and play it as soon as we get a chance. WhatsApp 0614 104 107. And then to call in live, not now, when we open the lines, 086 000 2032. Tweet anytime. Tag SFM Radio. Tag me, Ashraf Garda. Use that hashtag, The National Pulse. You can also post comments and tag us on our Facebook page as well as on Instagram. Right, let's now get to Parliament's ad hoc committee, and you're going to hear the voice of Robert McBride.
It was investigated. People were arrested. People said they were approached by a policeman at a taxi rank. They were given money. They were given details. And they killed a person, and that is Mandla, and I think they were sentenced to prison already. Yeah? So there was suspects, but it still doesn't make too much sense to me.
Well, thank you, Chair. In fact, I was hoping that I would hear some traces of General Mkwanazi's name in the group of people who actually had been arrested on this case. Thank you.
So you confirm that the people who killed Mahlangu have been arrested?
Yeah, from media reports, yes. And they were convicted.
Okay. Can we proceed, honorable members, or do we still have further questions for clarity? I see all of you are in agreement that we must proceed. Yeah. Senior Counsel, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Just to round up on the allegations about General Mkwanazi, you also mention on page 8, paragraph 27, that the only time, so this is, or maybe explain to us, is this pure hearsay, or do you know a bit more about this allegation? It's in the second last sentence on page 8. The only other time I got to hear about Lieutenant General Mkwanazi's name is when IPID was investigating what we called iView 3 allegation of corruption in the procurement of bulletproof vests. I think that case involves General Paslani.
It involves General Patlani. It involves a service provider called Ibenathan Kistia. Ivy case is another matter. So it's not the bulletproof matter. Who comes up a lot here. It's a different matter. I think it's a matter where supposed technology was delivered and paid for, but it was not delivered ultimately. So, Ibenathan Kistia forms part of a complaint which I sent to Inspector General of Intelligence, which was covered in the Zondo Commission when Dr. Dintwe was testifying. So, and which former Minister Bheki used as one of the issues not to extend my contract. So there were two issues. Was Cedric's matter, which I will deal with just now, and also creating a story that I'm not to be trusted, which was a false story. And I even spoke to the then Minister of Intelligence, Minister Letsatsi Duba, and she confirmed. And but a different version of it. But I have a copy of the report. It should be in the bundle of the complaint that I lodged about Kistia's role in which he played.
Yeah, the name is definitely on the in the criminal case and in the dockets. Lastly, as a matter of interest, do you know or do you have anything to do with Usumuzi Kat Matlala, Bran Mogotsi? You know them?
No, I've only heard of them in his inquiries. I don't know them, never seen them in my entire life. I don't know them.
You didn't see Bran Mogotsi at January the 8th?
No.
And you've subsequently seen the letter from Minister Mkunu of 31 December 2024, directing that the PKTT be disbanded immediately?
No, I didn't see the letter. I heard about it in the media, but I didn't see a letter yet. Okay. I'm not involved in the criminal justice system.
Okay. Thank you, Honourable Chair. I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. Mkhize, to continue with the questioning in relation to Mr. Nkabinde and General Paslani. Thank you.
Can I give you a 10 minutes break? I hope it doesn't take you off phone. Okay. 10 minutes break, honorable members.
So we like 2 days, we were there last week and now into today's session. Any thoughts that have come out for you that stands out? That's the one thing. We had extensive conversations about, the road accident yesterday with regard to those children, 12 people. I think initially it was a point that the driver had also died. I believe that's been refuted now that in fact the driver is okay and is to appear in court on charges of culpable homicide. There's also news about 2 people being killed at the Boysens Magistrates Court in Johannesburg, and the lawyer for one of the parties being shot and being critical, and that just seems to be the norm. The other party is the World Economic Forum at Davos. Any thoughts in terms of, for South Africa, what would be the key priorities for us as a country when dealing with Davos? I heard Iraj Abedian yesterday making the point that Davos for him essentially is a talk shop of negotiating business deals. It's not less than that, it's not more than that. That's really what it is. But it's a good chance for you to think about how do you measure Davos year on year. Now, what about Paul O'Sullivan? You certainly heard their insistence at the ad hoc committee to say O'Sullivan must present himself in person.
Speaking to Sfiso in Durban, Ashraf, Paul Sullivan knows how he acts during his time. When I hear that he was getting in and outside and inside, and as if he is a boss of IPID, controlling the IPID, he's scared that these people, MK and the EFF and Action SA, they're going to ask him those questions. How you control the IPID? Who are you at the end of the day? Because the IPID people, they thought he's working with them. But lately they realized that Sullivan is not working with them. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's see. I'll tell you what, all the more, you do need O'Sullivan in person. You really do. That would be a dramatic testimony.
Hi, good afternoon, Ashraf Mafuta. Ashraf, it's now becoming clearer what the US president is all intending to do. That is to form a parallel organization to the UN and antagonize or gauge other countries to join him. I think those going to gather in Davos this weekend should not accept that. What is happening in Greenland should be the same thing, a clear objection to this board of peace that Trump is trying to form. The world cannot be ruled by his will or by his wishes alone. Ashraf.
The world can't be ruled by his wishes alone, so why does it come across that it can? Clearly there are people, not all, who are accepting of his position, and therefore he has the confidence to say what he wants and to effectively demand what he wants, isn't it?
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf Mbongo Sundisa Mboisa here. Mr. Ashraf, I would like to advise the people of the Western Cape, can they please march to the parliament and request the president to remove the provincial commissioner of the Western Cape. The gentleman is lost. He doesn't know whether he's going or coming. You can see him on TV. He's lost. People are dying. 8 people were killed yesterday, and I think 7 today. 15 people just in less than 24 hours. Then he always says you've got a plan. He's just a general of crime scenes. He's always there on TV. Now we are busy investigating the matter. He must just retire, go chill with his grandchildren. We don't need a police commissioner like that, man. Here.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, if people get shot, how does that become the police commissioner's fault? Let's think about it. On the other hand, I know you messaged yesterday as well with the same thing. We did say it's not just one person. There's an entire system that needs massive revision. And you're quite right about today. 2 people shot dead at Boysens. And then in Cape Town, there was a shooting at Maitland, I think it was. And there was another close to the city in Cape Town. We're just getting far too many of these type of situations, which is just crazy, right? Okay, what else would you like to comment on? Interesting, I have the most fascinating conversations with the Uber drivers. So the other day, I had a chat with an Uber driver, and we talked about the country, and he said, ultimately, I think he said, you know what, we need 5 things. We as people in our country, we need 5 things, and if we get those 5 things, then we are happy as a people. And I said, okay, so what are those 5 things? And I thought I'll share that with you. So he said 5 things. You need good health care for all the people of the country, or as a family, you need access to health care. Number one, you need access to good education, both at primary and then high school and at tertiary level as well. Number three, you need safety and security, right? And then he said you need access to water and to electricity. Now, did he mention a few other things? What have I missed out on? I think I've missed out on a couple, but I'll maybe leave it to you. If I said, what are the 5 most basic requirements that we as family units need every day in our lives, and you multiply that to a whole country, what would that be? Well, you can share that too. You can just WhatsApp me right away with your 5 key requirements, because then he made the point about saying that South Africa, at this point in time, leadership does not meet any of those 5 requirements. We're not getting any of them. Of course, he made the point about, I think one of them would be you need a home, you need shelter, you need a home to stay in, right, as amongst the key requirements. So think about that and engage with me on that. Now, let me just recap with regard to today at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. The session started with this fiery exchange between the EFF's Matthys, right, Leanne Matthys, and the DA's advocate, Glynis Breitenbach. So, I'll tell you what, we have drama in sport. We also have drama at Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee.
Yes, the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Honorable Malema, has sent his apology. You do know that it's his sentencing hearing, or I'm sure the entire country knows that. So he's in the middle of preparations for the sentencing hearing that's taking place on the 23rd of January.
Okay.
The unjust weaponized prosecution by the state and AfriForum. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
You can't decide whether it's true or not. We're saying that's what it is. Whether you think it's true or not is irrelevant, Honorable Breitenbach. It's fine. You don't have to think it's true. You don't think even expropriation of land without compensation should happen. So why would we even take... Yeah, but why are you the one who's starting it? Don't start. I'm addressing something. Who asked you to enter?
You're using this
even
platform
enter?
for completely incorrect purpose.
No, we can do it. We're political parties. We're explaining exactly why the Honorable Malema has been sentenced. Who asked you to enter?
You think I need your permission?
No, you don't need my permission, but you weren't even being addressed. You enter in on things that got nothing to do with you, and when you comment, do not think for 1 second that we're not going to be respond. We're not scared of this white supremacy that you pronounce.
That cheap race card, as usual, shame.
Yeah, that's all you know is race cards when you call you out for your supremacy attitudes that you'll display here. Because that's all you have.
Honorable
Chairperson,
Honorable Matthys,
I'm going to give that round to Honorable Matthys.
Honorable Matthys and Honorable Breitenbach, may you please stand up? Honorable Matthys, may you please stand up? Please stand up, please. Can you look behind you? There is Honorable Breitenbach behind you. I want you to exchange greetings first before you say anything that you want to say to each other. Can you just say good morning to each other? Don't want to greet each other.
Just say good morning to each other. Okay, they didn't say that, right? But did you hear someone say round 1 to Matthys? Something like, I think I heard that. Who said that? Round 1. Okay, there's more, right? There's lots of drama. Ashraf, people must understand that Comrade McBride is not a small boy. And here people have found their match. And the revelations so far is that the issue is bigger than Mkhwanazi, and McBride could salvage Mqunu, as it is clear that war is ongoing in the justice system and government, and this is war with O'Sullivan. Still yet to come, this ad hoc committee bury the Mkhwanazi allegations. I sort of lost you in the last 2 sentences. I'm not too sure really what you're trying to land at that. But the point about McBride, noted.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ashraf. This is Greenman in Pietermaritzburg. You know, Paul Olusegun. Paul Olusegun, he knows very well that we are so weak legally, because he's been infiltrated the whole system for a very, very long time. And you know that he's not going to do what you want him to do. Thank you.
Okay, well let's see what comes through years. In fact, what we'll do, we'll play some more sound later on, because I believe we now can rejoin Parliament's ad hoc committee.
Is making a
In fact, I think they're ready to go now.
no presentation of evidence.
Okay, as it gets set up, let me remind you, of course, this is the National Pulse, and when that ad hoc committee gets into session, we do things very differently, as we did last year, because we know that you, as the audience, you certainly want to hear it. I think we've got the go-ahead to go now, yeah.
And she's the one that is now leading Mr. McBride in the presentation of evidence. The way we have uploaded others. And she can only do that with our cooperation. She needs 2 hours to do that. I'm giving you, Mr. McBride and Advocate Mkhize, until 5:30 to conclude the proceedings. It is in your hands.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. McBride.
Hi, ma'am. Thanks.
Mr. McBride, if we can just turn to page 20 of your statement.
Yes, ma'am, I have it. Thanks.
Okay. The topic that we are going to be dealing with now, in leading your evidence, relates to the Pahlane task team. And where I would like us to pick up the evidence is at the point at which you had now returned back to IPID following your suspension, which was set aside by the Constitutional Court as unlawful. And this would be around November 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. So if you can just take us through why this team was called the Pahlane Task Team, and what was the purpose of this team?
So at the time when I returned back to the office, 2 of my main investigators had been dismissed. That is Matthew Sissoko and Innocent Kuba. And we then had to scrape up what we had to get investigations going. So when I came back, we had to deal with a number of complaints. And one of the complaints was about the Pahlane matter. And I had asked Mandla Mahlangu to deal with the case. And later on, Temani Binang and Mancha Rapeso also joined.
Okay.
And then later on, Mandla approached me and said that, look, Cedric Nkabinde is up here. This is the guy. He works very well. He's up on an investigator's course. Can you consider putting him to help us? We're short of manpower. And it colloquially became Pahlane Task Team. That's how it was.
Was that, Mr. McBride, was that the practice perhaps within IPID? Why this one? Why was this one specifically called Task Team? How were the other investigations classified? How did you
So this
name
was
them?
Yes, ma'am. It was a systemic corruption, number one. from outside it looked like systemic corruption.
Bound slow moving towards Vredekloof Road and slow moving traffic through Muizenberg. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
All right, Chibi, of course, there's a big crowd at OR Tambo International Airport to welcome back the Bafana team on winning the African Cup of Nations tournament. Sorry, I got it all wrong. It's Senegal, and I think it's Dakar.
Yes, it is in Dakar. And Senegal's football team will parade through the streets of Dakar today after winning the Africa Cup of Nations. The players arrived late last night from Morocco and were welcomed by Senegal President and other government officials. The parade started around 3 p.m. this afternoon and is going to pass through several neighborhoods before ending at the presidential palace. Large crowds are expected to be along the route. Remember, Senegal beat host Morocco 1-0 in extra time in Sunday's final, and celebrations have continued across Dakar with fans filling the streets for a second night. Meanwhile, Banyana defender Bambanani Mbani says that the team has the mental strength to advance from their Women's Africa Cup of Nations group. South Africa have been drawn in Group B alongside Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire and Tanzania for the 14th edition of the tournament, which starts from the 17th of March to the 3rd of April. And Mbani says that they are prepared for the physical challenge, poised and believed a solid plan will definitely see them through the knockout stages.
Mandate this year ukuthi kumele siwine noba yintoni esidlalayo sibanye nabanyana futhi siwine because igroup esikuyo igroup B or Burkina Faso no Cote d'Ivoire ne Tanzania is strong, but I feel like we qualify WAFCON sidlale ne Congo, which is Congo is very strong physically, so at least sesinayo lanto ukuthi into efanele siyenze xa hlane side eli strong lifana ne Burkina Faso ne Cote d'Ivoire because ba strong honestly.
Well, she's basically saying that it's very important that they win against strong sides like Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire, and also saying that Congo is actually also a strong side. In rugby, Sharks interim coach JP Peterson says that their early exit from the Investec Champions Cup shows once again how important away matches are in European competitions. The Durban team did everything they could at home on Saturday, beating Clermont Auvergne 50-12 at Kings Park and scoring 8 tries. However, results in other matches went against the Sharks. Toulouse's big 77-7 win over the Sale Sharks in France pushed the Sharks down to 5th place in their pool, ending their campaign. And Peterson says that South African teams cannot depend only on strong home performances if they want to succeed in Europe.
To reach round 16 is you have to win away. It is what it is, and you can see what Bristol did. Loftus, they came here, they won. That's something we need to get better. As South African teams, you have to win away games.
In tennis, former US Open champion Sloane Stephens is out of the Australian Open after a first-round defeat to Karolina Pliskova. Pliskova claimed a 7-6, 6-2 in straight sets win today, and Stephens had battled through qualifying to reach the main draw, but was unable to extend her run. In the meantime, women's number 5 seed Elena Rybakina eased in the second round of the Australian Open with straight sets win. 26-year-old defeated Slovakia's Kaja Juvan 6-4 and 6-3 on Margaret Court Arena this morning. And Rybakina's last year's finalist looked composed throughout as she began her campaign with a confident performance. I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
As the nation seeks answers, SAFM brings you live, uninterrupted coverage of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. You can also stay up to date with the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System. Stay informed, stay connected. Tune in live on SAFM 104 to 107 and follow the coverage across our digital platforms live on Facebook, X and YouTube at SAFM Radio. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Right, keep the calls coming and or WhatsApp comments. I certainly want to engage with you. You're on the pulse. I need to know what you're feeling, and we'll play them as soon as we can. This is indeed the National Pulse. I am Ashraf Garda, but we know the big story of the day, besides the shooting in Boysens, Johannesburg, and the double shooting in Cape Town, I understand. Again, just so many people dying. Just such a common thing where there's this acceptance that if you want to remove someone, just go ahead and do it. Besides all of that, let's get to Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee. We hear the voice of Robert McBride.
The consignment that was confiscated lands up. And the job of the lab is to double check that and confirm that indeed it is. But what had happened is that all of the allegations, or large amounts, on a number of occasions,
the labs, because he was the head of forensics. And there's another complaint that I see at 74.1.
Yes. So 74.1 relates to Patlani's house, that the house is valued on the market at 8 million and it could not have been afforded by Patlani, but also that there was initial reports that Patlani had received money from a company called Criminalistics and also investigating vehicles in Patlani's possession, which according to him were either purchased, owned by him or sponsored for the use. These had not been declared in the gift register. And secondly, there's one aspect perhaps I picked up in one of the comments during his testimony is that, oh no, he's just buying and selling cars. But the key issue with that is from memory, is the amounts to acquire the car and ludicrous amounts to dispose of the car. So gratification, in our view, is now linked to the cars that are donated or bought, in inverted commas, and how they're disposed of. So that is the allegation. That case hasn't come to court yet. I think they are still busy with it, but I don't know the full details of it.
So, Mr. McBride, when General Patlani came before this commission last week on Wednesday, he informed this commission, this committee, that he was trading in cars. So what in essence was happening is that he would purchase one car, and when he trades it in for another, it would remain in the register as though he still owns the car that has now been traded in. Are you saying that that is inaccurate, the evidence that he gave this committee?
My understanding where the loophole is in that version of events is the amounts used for vehicles on the reselling. So vehicles are sold at more than their market value and more than their resale value. Sometimes exorbitant amounts above it. So that's what we looked at. Yeah.
Okay, but that you said is still an ongoing investigation.
Indeed, yes.
So we'll park that for now. If we can then just turn to RJM 13, Annexure 13, which is at page 599.
1 second, ma'am. I have it, ma'am.
Okay. Could you read in paragraph 75 of your statement? You say that Kabinde took the lead on these investigations, and you attach RJM 13.
Indeed, ma'am.
What is that document in front of you there at 599?
So the document at 599 is Cedric Nkabinde opening up the case against Khomotso Phahlane, and he is there as the investigating officer, and he activates the criminal investigation. And later on 601, I think it is, he also makes a complaint with an affidavit.
Okay. Before we get to the affidavit,
Yes,
if you look at page 599 at the bottom of the page, on the right, left-hand side is a date.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you read that into the record?
2011-2017.
So this was in 2017, on the 20th of November.
Yes, ma'am.
And at Brooklyn Station, which is at the top left-hand corner, is where this complaint was laid by Cedric as the investigator, as you have mentioned.
Yes, he's the.
So if you could then turn to page 601, which forms part of the same annexure.
Yes, I have it, ma'am.
What is that document?
Well, that document is Cedric making an affidavit in support of his assertion that there's a criminal case to be investigated.
Okay.
So he's supporting the opening of the case, and this is in effect his A1 statement.
Okay. At the top of the state of that document is writing in manuscript. What is that? What should we make of that?
So that's Brooklyn case number, according to this, 565-11-2017. So the case is open in Brooklyn, and it's a 565th case of November 2017.
Okay. So in this document, Cedric signed this affidavit. It is commissioned at page 603, and he starts out this affidavit by stating his full names, his personal number, and his phone number at paragraph 1. At paragraph 2 of the document, he states the purpose of the charge, the purpose of the complaint, rather.
Yes, ma'am.
And it reads, on 2017, on the 12th of October 2017, an alleged fraud and corruption was reported by the source that the former acting national commissioner, Lieutenant General Phahlane, initiated a procurement of software of media monitoring and a secure encrypted mobile communication system to prevent mobile cell phones to be intercepted, which was not part of the motivation, which worth the total of 54,229,000 in some change. Could you speak to that? What was that referring to, and why did Cedric Nkabinde, as the lead investigator, file this complaint against Lieutenant General Phahlane?
From memory, this equipment was supposed to be, I think it's called Daedalus, the name of the software of the program. And it was supposed to have been delivered and money was paid for it, but it never arrived. And the supplier of that, I think, is the same Ibanathan Kistia. So in other words, it was not a purchase because nothing was delivered, but but money was paid. That's the issue. So it was a fraud and corruption. Yeah.
And what was the explanation given for that? That
I
SAPS has paid, was this at the time when Lieutenant General Patlani was the acting commissioner? What was his position at the time?
Yes, that was his position. I'm trying to see here, 12, unacceptable from corruption is reported. Yeah, so it refers to a time when General Patlani was acting national commissioner, and this stuff was ordered by crime intelligence.
My understanding of how procurement works within government is that you use supply chain. So this would have gone through supply chain, and you make the allegation that he bought this equipment for over 54 million, but in fact it was never delivered.
That's correct, ma'am.
And there was no accountability to
There's no
that effect.
accountability for that.
Okay, and then we move on. And what has happened to that investigation?
I'm not sure if it's the same one, depending on case number. It would be the one that is perhaps before court now in November. If you allow me for a second, I can double check for you the case number.
Yes, you may.
Just bear with me, please, ma'am. A second.
Chairperson.
Yes, ma'am, indeed, it's the same one. It's 3rd to 4th of 3rd of November to 4th of December. That's when it'll go on trial.
Does that form part of our bundle? Is that in the exhibit file?
My understanding is yes.
Just for the record, I think it is annexure 20, RJM 20, and it's part of the exhibit bundle, but we will not go to it now. Then you moved on to investigate the second matter, which was another complaint regarding General Patlani. So if you can go to paragraph 77 of your statement.
1 second. Yes, ma'am, I have it.
Okay. From your statement, you say that in January 2017, a search warrant was executed at General Patlani's home. Could you take the committee through that complaint?
So information was obtained and statements from a service provider that they had installed a surround sound theater and hi-fi or some electronic equipment, and they had installed it as a service provider in the general's house. And later on, we found out some time afterwards, the general seemingly paid the company back. Now that doesn't take away the crime, because it's like you've taken money out the till, then you put the money back. It doesn't take away the first offense. And so Patlani filed an application to challenge the search and seizure warrant. So, who was there was the service provider themselves pointing out what they installed in the house to confirm it. And when we filed our answering affidavit in justification of the search warrant, Patlani didn't move further with the case of objecting to the search warrant, of getting it set aside. Only later on, after Nkabinde wrote to Minister Cele, did Patlani file a supplementary affidavit which was supported by Nkabinde's affidavit. That's a year later from where Nkabinde opens the same case himself. So it's a year later in which he's joined the other side. And I must add, probably for a brigadier's post. In fact, if I carry on further, without going through each and every one of these, he was given a post in the National Commissioner's office at some stage. And it came to the notice of the public and they objected. And then the then General Sithole then could not allow it to happen because I think they did some due diligence or something, perhaps late, but they then found out indeed the guy is not a trustworthy guy, and then he was not allowed to take up his appointment.
Thank you. Mr. McBride, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but you said it was a search warrant at his house because of a music system, a hi-fi kind of. What was the purpose of going to his house?
Because it was installed inside his house by the service provider, by a service provider who had paid for it, and the service provider so a related contractor who had paid for the system installed it. So it needed to be identified who installed it, where is it, and what is it. That's why the guy had to accompany the investigators.
So it was for the purposes of identifying that in fact the sound system is the one that was installed, that was paid for by the service provider.
Yes, yes.
And that is at paragraph 77 of your evidence. Now, to that end, Mr. Patlani then has a problem with the fact that you've come to his house. What was the step thereafter?
Sorry, ma'am, could you repeat that, please?
If you go to your paragraph 78.
I have it.
Just for the sake of completion of this part, because you make, in your evidence, you state that he had received this money from service providers.
Yes.
But we don't know that he had, how do you know that he had received this money from service providers? Besides the fact that you've now got a search warrant,
yes,
and you are able to identify the music system. But how does it come to you as IPID, not you personally, but you as IPID, that it's service providers that are in fact paying for...
Yes, so there were whistleblowers, including the service providers, and including the estate manager. Whilst the estate manager appears to support Patlani on a number of issues, he's actually leaking information to O'Sullivan in any case. So that's how O'Sullivan knew so much about what's happening. Yeah.
Okay. So at paragraph 78, you say that Patlani denied that he had received kickbacks from SAPS suppliers. Another search and seizure operation was conducted at the premises of FDA. This initiated litigation. Before I continue, who is FDA or what is FDA?
FDA is a company owned by Keith Keating, which supplies software systems, crime registration systems, forensic data analysts. That's what FDA stands for.
And what was his connection to Mr. Patlani?
Well, according to initial statements, there was gratification between the service provider and General Patlane. Yeah.
Okay. And this ended up in court. It says that this initiated legal litigation proceedings by Keith Keating of FDA to challenge the warrant.
Yes.
At Annexure RJM 15, which can be found at page 620.
320.
Yes.
Okay, 1 second, ma'am.
620.
I have it now.
613. 613.
Okay, 1 second. Almost there.
Yeah.
Fine. So it's a judgment in the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division, in which the FDA and Keith Keating, the owner, challenged the magistrate's decision, challenged the Minister of Safety and Security, that's the term he uses, and one of the Hawks officers who was assisting IPID in the investigation because of shortage of manpower, sorry to use that term, Sissoko had approached Libya to provide assistance. So it was a joint operation between IPID and the DPCI. So that was it. So that's why they and a Colonel J. Duploy. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So the judgment basically in effect says that if there are minor technical difficulties or discrepancies in the execution of a search warrant, and it's not of a substantial nature, the search warrant is then permitted and is not set aside. So a lot of documents of the on the different transactions relating to different purchase of goods and the hiring of FDA and FDA actually is like the sole supplier of SAPS. So SAPS is held hostage by FDA. So SAPS had to pay FDA now the other day like X amount of million because they would held payment at some stage.
What does FDA supply to SAPS? If you say that they're the sole supplier to SAPS and they get paid in the millions, what is it that they actually supply to SAPS that other service providers cannot supply?
It's a software to deal with the evidence and exhibits or related to criminal evidence. Yeah.
A software?
Software related to the storage, classification of evidence. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I think also they're part of the crime scene investigation also. I think there's one case where there was like ultraviolet lights or something that something was not right about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in essence, in this judgment, Mr. Keating, together with other applicants,
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, Reserve Bank sets a new inflation target and police investigate shooting outside the Booysens Magistrates Court. For SFM News, I am Ondelambana and a very good afternoon. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago says the central bank has set its focus on price its stability mandate and ensuring that the new inflation target expectations are embedded. The bank set a new target of 3% with a 1% tolerance band last year. Kganyago believes this will help the country in navigating the global economic disruptions. He is among the SA delegation attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Kganyago says while the bank's monetary policy committee remains focused on dealing with inflation, Treasury has been dealing with fiscal consolidation and reforms that can help the economy.
For us, it is not just about inflation, it's also about economic activity. And our response in South Africa is three-pronged. Firstly, is that the central bank must focus on its price stability mandate, and importantly, that we pursue the new inflation target with vigor and make sure that inflation expectations are embedded. Monetary policy remains focused on dealing with inflation. Secondly, is that these global disruptions and the impact that they would have could lead to the rise in borrowing costs globally, including borrowing costs for South Africa.
Gauteng authorities say resources have been mobilized following a shooting at the Poisons Magistrates Court in Johannesburg that left 2 people dead and 3 wounded. The group was allegedly attending court in support of an accused in an attempted murder case linked to an April 2025 incident in Mondeo. One of the wounded has been confirmed as the accused lawyer, Gauteng Police spokesperson Brenda Moridili.
The police's serious and violent crime investigations from the provincial office will be investigating a case of 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder.
City Power in Johannesburg says the inner city is largely stable despite recent power outages affecting residents in suburbs such as Bellevue, Kensington and Cyrildene. Community members say the outages, which have lasted several days in some areas, have disrupted their daily life. The power utility says only a few circuits at the observatory and Bellevue substations were affected due to cable theft, equipment failure and water damage. City Power's Chief Operational Officer Charles Tloane.
The unfortunate part is that we've got a 44 billion rand worth of backlog, with only 1.2 budget of capital injection across the entire city, not inner city only, across the 7 regions of Johannesburg. 44 billion versus 1 billion. You'll see where we should redirect funds. How do we make sure that everybody else is covered within the limited budget? So we're trying to do more with less, and this is where we are currently, but we are responding to those challenges.
Humanitarian aid organization Gift of the Givers has started distributing water tanks to vulnerable communities in preparation for a day zero in Knysna in the Western Cape. Dam levels continue to drop and restrictions tighten. The town has around a week of water left. The organization's coordinator for Guardian Road region, Mario Ferreira.
It's getting delivered to the hospitals, the clinics, the SIPS, the dog units, the old age homes, the more vulnerable at this stage, the correctional services. We're working very close together with disaster management in determining where these tanks need to go. The additional ones will be placed strategically throughout town for the community to be able to have access to water during day zero.
Western Cape Premier Alan Winde is expected to visit the Agarkloof Dam later today to assess the situation on the ground and engage with local and provincial officials on urgent intervention measures. The president of the European Commission says the bloc is preparing a package to support security in the Arctic. This comes amid continued statements from U.S. President Donald Trump that Washington wishes to annex Greenland, which is a large island strategically located close to the Arctic between Europe, the U.S. and Russia. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ursula von der Leyen says the European Union will work with the United States and all partners.
When it comes to the security of the Arctic region, Europe is fully committed, and we share the objectives of the United States in this regard. For instance, our EU member, Finland, one of the newest NATO members, is selling its first icebreakers to the United States. And this shows that we have the capability right here in the ice, so to speak.
Recapping the top stories of Bank Governor Lesija Kganyago says the central bank has set its focus on price stability mandate and ensuring that the new inflation target expectations are embedded. I'm Mondela for SFM News headlines at 4:30. In sports, the Sao Betway Premiership resumes with midweek action. Proteas women to host India for 5-match T20 series in April. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Mapopani Highway westbound in Pretoria, slow moving towards the Hairpin Bend, and Catherine Street northbound in Sandton is where crash is reported near Grayston Drive. In KZN, a stationary vehicle on the N2 northbound after Higginson Highway, and on the N2 southbound there's congestion after Inanda Road. In Cape Town, the M5 northbound slow moving towards the N1 Koeberg interchange, and the N2 outbound slow moving towards Bunga Avenue. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So, Robert McBride has been, testifying at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. And amongst the things he said, which is interesting, is I'm on his job. I'm not allowed to say what my employment is, right? And then regarding legal constraints and intelligence law, he said, it's not that I'm trying to hide, but the National Strategic Intelligence Act of 1994 governs this. And he made other points saying we need greater independence for police watchdogs to prevent undue influence from the minister responsible for police. That's just some of the thoughts that he said today. But of course, he's in action, and we're going to get to him in a moment. Let me just remind you, this is the National Pulse. My name is Ashraf Garda. So send your WhatsApp so we can bank it and play it whenever we get the openings, because we will give extensive coverage again to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. Right, back to Robert McBride.
To work, I met with representatives of Pop Crew, and they made a similar complaint as that made by O'Sullivan. Their complaint included aspects of malfeasance at the SAPS forensic lab, stores, including but not limited to exhibits going missing. I suppose that is Sissoko and Kuba. Attached issue is a copy of the Pop Crew complaint marked as annexure RJM 11.
So if RJM 11 is at page 594, if you can turn there.
1 second, ma'am. Okay, it's Colonel Munsami.
What is that document, if you can just perhaps define it? Yeah.
It's a complaint forwarded to the National Commissioner by Colonel Munsami, complaining about irregularities within the Division Forensic Evidence. In terms of date, there's just a fax on there of, I don't know where it goes to, it's 08-2014. I don't see his date on his signature.
Okay. It says that at page 596, it reads Commander Local Criminal Record Center, East London.
Yes.
Why has this document come from East London?
Off the top of my head, I think they experienced problems there also from East London to the National Forensic Lab.
Okay. And then if you could turn to the page, to annex to RJM 10, which is at page 542.
One second, ma'am. I have it for you.
Chair, I've had my hand up for a while.
Yeah, I have said that the advocate is leading evidence for the first time. I'm only going to take questions thereafter.
So you're saying that we're not doing questions of clarity anymore?
We will take them thereafter.
Okay. Yes. 542. Are you at 542? Yeah, 542?
Yes,
542.
yes, ma'am. I have it.
Okay, what is that document?
It's a sworn statement by Paul O'Sullivan. It gives the ID number and explains what it's about. And it gives a long explanation about its issues. This is, it is commissioned on 25th of February 2016. I'm still on suspension then. I'm not sure where he commissions it. I'm trying to find a
What was
Santin.
Okay. What was the statement prepared for?
For the complaint to Khamanyani.
To Khamanyani.
Yes.
At page 546, it is dated and commissioned, and this is on the 25th of February 2016.
That's correct,
Is
ma'am.
that correct? Okay. It is fairly small, the writing.
Yes, yes.
Okay. At paragraph 3, in fact, we can start at paragraph 1 of this complaint.
Yes, yes.
Just to put it into context, it says, I'm an adult male forensic consultant and confirm that the information set out on SAP 3MA is true and correct. The purpose of the sworn statement is to open a criminal docket in respect of offenses and corruption, money laundering, and racketeering. My allegation is that the conduct of one General Johannes Patlane smacks of corruption and cronyism, and only a proper in-depth investigation will reveal the truth. I therefore hereby, and then he sets out his complaint in detail. Yeah. He then comes to you. If you can just tell us firstly, put this document into context, this complaint, and what happened to this investigation once he had complained.
So this investigation was made to Khamanyani whilst I was still on suspension. And what I understand happened is Khamanyani informed Patlani there's an investigation against him. And seemingly also, I found out more recently, Khomo, the infiltrator from crime intelligence, was given a task of investigating this case. So in my absence, Khomo is inserted into IPID, and Khomo is now given a task of investigating Patlani matter, and it links up to a case with identical case number, two cases which cancel each other out. This is only found out when I come back. But indeed...
Before you, Chairperson, before you continue, Mr. McBride, you just went through that very quickly. What do you mean two cases cancel each other out? So what I've understood at the moment is that there's a complaint against General Patlani.
Yes, yes.
Yes, if you can just then take us through that step by step so that we can understand what you are
So
explaining.
on this specific occasion, I'm not sure, but there was a series of early closures or special closures. That's how it was called in IPID. I think that has been revised since this incident, which means people can close cases before the investigation is finalized because they don't fit in a mandate or one is a duplicate of the other. And then ordinarily you'll have one continuing while the other one is removed. But in this instance, you find both were getting removed and closed in special closure.
How was that happening?
Two duplicate cases. And it was also to push statistics. So,
Is it I'm sorry to just interject.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it common practice that in instances where you have a duplicate case, you surely would close one case of the duplicate and leave one open? So how did this actually happen, that both cases would end up being closed?
well, it will be different people opening the two cases, and then the one saying, but this is exactly like the other. So it's we have case control number, CCNs, which is like the CAS dockets. When we take the information to SAPS, because that's how the system is set up, we then open a CAS number. So on this one, it appears that from an analysis, so someone complained also that there's special closures are going haywire. All of this in my absence. And it was then at the end of that year or the previous year, I think even IPID got praised for completing so many cases. I think by the portfolio committee also. But yet all of them were special closures or some dodgy business of bringing it to an end. So it was made to look smart. I think Khamanyani even got a bonus, yeah. Yes, I think he got a bonus for that, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for taking us through that. So then Mr. O'Sullivan complains. Mr. O'Sullivan appears quite a bit within IPID, and he also features quite a lot in your affidavit.
Yes, yes.
What was his relationship to you, and what is his role, is he an IPID member? Is he a policeman?
No, he's not an IPID member, ma'am. He's a person with resources who has information. And at some stage, he had been involved, unfortunately, much to my disliking at that stage, in the Jackie Celebi case, because Jackie Celebi was like a bigger brother comrade in ANC, and then O'Sullivan takes credit for taking him down. So when I was appointed in IPID, he made a statement that, yes, IPID had made a statement that he has no case against Jackie Celebi, and that has not been corrected, and he's going to keep a hawk's eye on us. So I consulted people that in the investigative fraternity. I said, what must I do with this guy? Should I tell him, to go and get intimate with himself and leave me alone? And the people I consulted said, no, this guy is reaching a hand out to you. Go to him, hear what he has. He often has good information. So I met him then. That is before my suspension, when I just was appointed. And a good example, what happens is, I tell you, well, I first checked with ICD. I find out ICD made a statement which was a rough statement against him, very rough. I can't remember what it was, but I then, so IPID is now the derivative of ICD. So when I speak to O'Sullivan about this matter, I tell him, look, seemingly you are proven right, and perhaps my people, although I inherit this, were wrong. So sorry about that. He goes to the newspaper, excuse my laughter, and he tells the newspaper, McBride apologized. So the headline is a headline, says, McBride of IPID apologizes. So I thought, no skin off my back. The guy is eccentric, a little bit strange, but he does have information. So when I was suspended, he laid this complaint, now at Khamanyani. When I returned, he then came to ask, keeping up his promise of watching us like hawks, his promise, where is his case? And I think he was also the person who brought the pop crew to us. So Bunsame had complained to him, Popro had complained to him. He is the go-to person of disgruntled SAPS members who are whistleblowers who see wrongdoing going on. They go to O'Sullivan. That's what happens. So he sits with a lot of information, even at times when I thought he was wrong. There was an occasion when he was in a public spat with a crime intelligence general who I know to be solid and who does good work. And the general asked, can you speak to this guy? I don't like what you're saying. And then I put them together, they must have a go at each other. Because I don't like stories, carrying stories. One of the biggest sins we make in this country, we make in even political parties, and which I've seen made here in this parliament by Begitele, is running, carrying stories, not listening to the other side. So I put them together and say, talk it up. Come, tell us what it is. Then they were having a go to each other. Allegations were made, counter allegations. In the end, O'Sullivan was satisfied. But the guy hadn't told the truth. There was something he left out which was true before but was not true at that time. And in any event, O'Sullivan proved to be correct even when I thought he was wrong on a piece of information. Yeah, so he's got that reputation of being solid, of receiving a lot of information. And so he also tends to brag. For example, there is a case, this one that Patlani is on, that's going to court in October. He basically said on TV somewhere that he gave the information for the case. That's not true. That case was done by Temani Binang, mostly on his own. Mostly on his own. So Paul is like that. He has good information, but sometimes he wants to be the center of the story. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan is going to appear before this committee and he can tell us where he got the information from.
Yeah.
For now, I'd like to take you back to your statement.
Yes,
You returned back to your position once your suspension was lifted. And you get back to the office and find out that there was a complaint laid with Khamanyani, but nothing was in fact done. If I can take you to page 598 of the bundle.
Yes, I have it.
What is that document?
That's a document by Khamanyani writing to Patlani, against whom the complaint is laid. I can read it out. Yes. Kindly be informed that we have received a complaint from Mr. Paul O'Sullivan regarding allegations of 10-day irregularities and irregular appointments. The IPD in Gauteng have been tasked to grammar's problem, investigation regarding the above case, to conduct investigations. You are requested to arrange a suitable date for IPD to meet with you. And then Patlani writes to, I think it's his PA, Helen, yes, schedule accordingly. So, Patlani is informed by Khamanyani that O'Sullivan laid the case. At that stage, Homo gets the case, but nothing happens. There are no threats against anybody. Nothing happens. So O'Sullivan's already made his complaint. I am on suspension. No threats against anyone. When I come back, I put Mandla Matlangu in charge of the case. Suddenly, when the task team is set up, threats start coming. And by 2017, early, he tells me that General Mkhwanazi came to him and told him he must just leave this case alone. Guys are too dangerous. And I said to him, what you want to do? You know, you've got a family and stuff. Why didn't you let me know so I know? And then I can refer to DPCI or something. And he said, no, Chief, I want to go on with it. I don't think it's fair that they put pressure on me. So that's how we left it. And things really took off when Sissoko and Kuba came back, and then there was more direct supervision. Because I, as the head of the organization, have to do loads of other issues, compliance, ages report, and all of that, together with my team. So I don't have time to check every investigation. But for special systemic corruption investigations, which we often report to Parliament, that was the way we worked. We would report stuff to Parliament. Sometimes they'll ask, how far has it gone? So there was a time frame about progress. That resulted in new momentum into corruption cases and real traction. So we're making headway in these issues. And for the first time, really, whether it's ICD or IPID, is now making inroads into the real corruption, not 200 rand on the side of the road, we're talking millions. And in the same period, we also started looking at crime intelligence stuff and start finding irregularities, the corruption. And there was already this Nemo Tanzela that Kuba speaks about is already fired. They've got a criminal case he's waiting for also.
And that was as a result of the investigation that you conducted?
Yeah, IPID investigations and whistleblowers. So the public was with us on this matter. We only got a hard time, Chief Whip. When we came to Parliament, I can't remember who the Chief Whip was then, but you could not touch Patlani on anything. Patlani was the man. Couldn't touch him. There was one member of opposition threatened to assault me and told me to watch out. Okay, he's now a member of the GNU, so what can I say?
Well, Mr. McBride, through you, Chair, just to wrap up on O'Sullivan, when General Patlani appeared here last Wednesday, he informed this committee that O'Sullivan, together with Sarah Jane Trent and IPID official members, attended to his home, his private home.
Yes.
Do you have any comments to say about that?
Yes, I inquired about it because he sent me a message. You know, people visited my home and he sent it to me and the card I think is Matsango's card. And I think I didn't respond to him, but I asked the guys what had happened. And they said, no, O'Sullivan was pointing out a crime scene. This is how they said it to me. And that their car was a bakkie that only had space for two. So they needed to go into a car with 4 seats, which was O'Sullivan's car. And that's how four of them went together to the house. When I asked why was O'Sullivan allowed to take the lead in some instances as reported, the answer I got back is no, they were doing the white man thing. Okay, what's a white man thing? White man thing is we as black people get ignored, we don't get access to the place. People look at us condescendingly. So let's use a white man, push a white man in front. And that's how they got access. And also Paul had that Jooste apparently was Paul's informer also, the estate manager. So that's what happened. The guys, so it's like Kuba going to meet in Nematanzela. He goes and meet Nematanzela, but I thought he should have told us beforehand. And we could, he didn't know he landed up on Mkhwanazi. But at the time, Mkhwanazi's people told our investigator, hey, your chief task team investigator is here. So what you worried about working hard? McBride's contract's finishing soon.
That's where we're going to pause. We will reconnect as soon as we get the opportunity to do so. But it's 4:30 on the National Pulse. You've been hearing the voice of Robert McBride at Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee. Let's, however, get up to date with the news in South Africa, around the world. These are news heads with Ondela Mbana.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, police are investigating 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder following a shooting incident outside the Booysens Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. Former IPID head Robert McBride has raised serious concern at the ad hoc committee in Cape Town about the conduct of senior police leadership following the murder of an IPID senior investigator, Mandla Mahlangu. And President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that Ukraine urgently needs new air defense missiles. He was speaking after another night of Russian drone and missile strikes. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg Gous.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg has a crash reported at Crown Interchange. Christian de Wet Road southbound in Honeydew has delays towards Dolphin Street, and SK Mpahleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Moot Street. In KZN, on the N3 in Pietermaritzburg, there'll be blasting, which means the road will be closed between New England Road and Ashburton tomorrow and Thursday from 3 until 3:30 each day. A stationary vehicle also reported on the N2 northbound after Higginson Highway. In Cape Town, the N7 northbound queuing towards Frans Conradie Drive, Main Road is slow moving through Cork Bay, and Albert Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
The business of sports. SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic. The business of sports with Tumi Nkapele.
I suppose it's right because, you know what, the business of PSL has got to get underway after that break. So it's back to the business of the PSL to me.
Literally, AFCON done and dusted. Now back to the Betway Premiership, and action continues tonight as Kaizer Chiefs host Golden Arrows at FNB Stadium at 7:30 p.m. Chiefs are 4th on the log with 24 points and unbeaten in the league since August, while Golden Arrows are 10th with 16 points and coming off 3 straight league losses. At the same time, Sekhukhune United face Stellenbosch at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane. Sekhukhune are 3rd on the table with 25 points and will look to keep the pressure on the leaders. Stellenbosch sit just above the relegation zone and will be hoping for a strong start under new coach Gavin Hunt in his first match in charge.
You cannot prioritize things in football. I think it leads to you can get caught with your pants down. So let's try and concentrate on the next game, which is Tuesday. Let's go to the next game after that. If you start thinking, well, CAF is not important, or Nedbank's not important, or this game's not important, and that happens, you know. You see teams change. From, you know, people get rest. I won't rest people if I feel, obviously, they're really got to be tight for me to rest. You know what I mean? Rotation and those type of things. Obviously, within reason. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important just calm down and concentrate on the next game.
I have a feeling, Ashraf, that Gavin is going to do well at Stellies. I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like he's just going to do well. He hasn't had a good run in a while. So I just think this is a perfect fit for him. He did say that he's actually once declined Stellies before. Well, now he's there. We are yet to see how he's going to do leading Stellenbosch FC.
Well, the big question is, will he be in the hunt? The hunt for trophies.
That's the big question. Well, still talking about Stellenbosch, they have signed striker Tshegofatso Mapaso on loan from Orlando Pirates, winger Kabumelo Kodisang from Mamelodi Sundowns, and also defender Musa Libusa, who joined as a free agent after leaving Sundowns earlier this month. It's Champions League night, and in selected fixtures, Inter Milan face a tough test at home against Arsenal, which is the only side which hasn't lost a game in the competition so far. Inter need a positive result after losing their last match, especially as they aim to finish in the top 8. Real Madrid host Monaco at the Santiago Bernabeu, and Madrid sit 7th in the standings, and a win would go a really long way towards securing their place in the next round. Meanwhile, Man City are probably a win away from securing their place in the round of 16. They are away to Bodo Glimt, who are winless but still in playoff contention, and then also Tottenham taking on Borussia Dortmund. Remember that the top 8 secured direct entry to the last 16, and teams placed 9th to 24th must navigate an additional 2-legged playoff round to join them. In Cricket South Africa has confirmed a 5-match T20 international series between Proteas women and India in April. The World Cup finalists will meet in Durban and Benoni from the 17th to the 27th of April, with Kingsmead hosting the opening 2 matches, Wanderers staging back-to-back fixtures, while Willowmore Park including the series. It will be the Proteas women final assignment ahead of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in England, where they face Australia, Pakistan, India, and 2 qualifiers in Group 1. In the meantime, Joburg Super Kings batter Elise Duploy has admitted that he felt the pressure when he walked in at number 5 in a must-win clash against the Paarl Royals. His unbeaten 54 proved decisive in their 44 run in Boland Park, a venue that had troubled them before.
The thing that helped me probably was the previous years playing here. We've struggled as Joburg, the Joburg Super Kings, to compete here. I thought the power play was quite a big thing for us. So a guy like Neil Timmers there, first time playing at Paarl, is quite impressive. I know it only looks like a runner ball, 30-odd or whatever, but that set us up, and that gave us the wickets in hand in the end. So yeah, coming in the middle overs there is tougher, but if you've done it before, you don't panic as much if you face those dot balls, because the dot balls at Paarl are a little bit more normal than it would be at, let's say, Supersport Park or Wanderers. So that just gave us the calmness a little bit. I thought Matthew de Villiers showed some great composure there also. That partnership was crucial to set us up in the back end.
In tennis, Gael Monfils bid an emotional farewell to the Australian Open after a first-round defeat to Dane Sweeney. The 39-year-old French crowd favourite battled for nearly 4 hours before the Australian qualifier claimed a 6-7, 7-5, 6-4 and 7-5 win. Remember, Monfils had announced last year that 2026 would be his final season, and he also received a standing ovation and on-court presentation after his 20th campaign in Melbourne. That's it from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Okay, perfect. Looking forward to that, yeah?
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Berea, the home of the 4 bespectacled Tisson brothers, all of whom work or have worked on the English service, particularly Audio Mix and Radio Today. Watch how the night proceeds towards dawn.
And
I need a lot of consoling when I started the early program. People couldn't believe that John O'Donnell and B. Reid were chosen for the early morning program, because if ever 2 announcers used to want to swap a morning shift for an afternoon shift, John and I would do it.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And Makwe Masilela has always got those numbers. There's news locally and globally, Makwe. But I noticed that you've got some BHP interim results, right? Or reviewing, in fact, yeah.
Yes, Ashraf, the guys gave us a strong performance and capitalizing on strong prices. And check the likes of copper prices up 32%, iron ore up 4%. And China's commodity demand remains resilient. And commodities anyway continue to reach record highs. And yes, the People's Bank of China left interest rates unchanged even as the country grapples with cooling economic growth and a prolonged debt crisis when it comes to their real estate sector. Investors continue to dump dollar assets on fears of prolonged uncertainty, strained alliance, a loss of confidence when it comes to U.S. leadership, potential retaliation, and also the acceleration of de-dollarization trends. And as we're talking about that, today Zambia was the first African country to let Chinese mining companies to pay taxes using the Chinese currency, slowly chipping away from the use of the U.S. dollar. And remember, Zambia is the second biggest copper producer and China number 1 consumer. Stocks and bonds, which were already on the edge, were further unsettled by a sudden sell-off when it comes to Japanese sovereign debt, which is seen as a market participant's way of giving a thumbs down to an election pitch which talks about cutting taxes, that is on food, and Trump to continue to unleash fresh social media attacks against his European allies. And Trump's Treasury Secretary said that the idea of Europeans that they might dump U.S. treasuries and other U.S. assets defies any logic. And here, Ashraf, we're talking about almost 10 trillion of U.S. assets, and locally our November mining production decreased by 2.7%. That's after going up by 6.1% in October. Oil prices held by better than expected Chinese GDP, though gains were kept by US-Euro tension. Brent crude is up 0.3% at $64 a barrel, another record high for the yellow metal at the back of geopolitical tensions. Gold up 1.5% at 4,741, platinum up 1.4% at 2,416. Global stocks continue to fall as the Greenland tension deepens, but the local pulse has been cushioned by resources which are up 2%, helping the JSE to rise a mere 0.2%. The rand fell 0.4% against the dollar, 16.44, 22.11 against the pound, and 19.28 against the euro.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Makwe. Don't forget, we've got an hour of the markets from 6 to 7 this evening.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
Right, so I understand there's been three in fact, two in Cape Town of mass shootings, and then one in Johannesburg. We'll just stay with the Joburg one for now, and you've heard it on the news as well. Multiple people have been shot. We understand 2 of the people have been killed. This is outside the Boysons Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. The SABC News reporter is Luyanda Dankla, and Luyanda's been at the scene covering the story. Appreciate your time and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. You are quite correct. 2 people have been shot dead, and 3 others were injured here outside the Boyson Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. So just to give you a bit of a context, so this group was attending a court in support of an accused. So the accused was linked to an attempted murder case from April 2025. So the police are currently investigating the incident. They are also investigating the 2 counts of murder and also the 3 counts of attempted murder. The Gauteng spokesperson, Brigadier Brenda Morudili, says this incident is really terrible. She also mentioned that forensic teams and crime scene management are on site. They are investigating the incident. Also, we also managed to speak with the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Henri Carlsmeer. He said actually this incident is very terrible, and also he mentioned that the justice system is under attack, and also the security will also be tightened in the courts. And also he also commended the staff there, because the courts will also open tomorrow. And he mentioned that there will be some sort of a psycho support for the staff who actually witnessed the incident.
Yeah, let's go back. You were saying that the people who were shot were linked to one of the people who were accused of attempted murder, right? Do we know what the relationship is to the accused?
Also, the minister didn't want to speculate, so he didn't give us much detail, because he also told us on air that I don't want to speculate on what happened. So he mentioned a little bit of a hint that this might also be related to a gang, so some sort.
What about who did the shooting? How much do you know of that?
The suspect, we don't have names right now, but the suspect, they were mentioned that it's 3 armed men. I remember Brigadier Brenda Morudili said they were using a white Audi. So they ran away. They don't have their names right now.
Okay. What about, I understand one of the people that have not been killed, but have been shot, right? And maybe you can first help us with this. We know 2 people are killed. How many others have been shot? They have not been killed, and what's their condition? Yeah, tell me about that.
Okay, there are 3 people who are in hospital right now. They are taken to various hospitals, Baragwana Hospital and other hospitals around Johannesburg. So those people were shot. They are not. They did not pass away.
Okay. do I take it? I understand that one of the people shot was a legal representative. Is that true? And if so, who was that person representing?
Yes, of course. I forgot to mention that. Yes, one of the people who were shot is a lawyer. I think he was representing one of the accused.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the the process that led to the shooting? Meaning, where did the shooting take place? Was it in court, outside, on the streets, and what else can you tell us about that? You mentioned the car, but what else can you tell us? Yeah.
So the incident did not necessarily took place inside the building of the court, but it was outside the premises, because the minister said there are security measures that are in place, like for instance the machines that are checking if a person is carrying a gun. So the incident did not took place inside the court, but it took place outside the premises or outside the building.
in the parking lot. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I also saw some bodies on the steps.
Okay. Anything else, Luyanda, you'd like to add to that you think we need to know?
The Minister of Correctional Service reiterated that security will be in place, and they will make sure that they strengthen the security to make sure that everyone is safe.
Yeah. How did anybody respond to that? Because that sort of issue about security will be strengthened is like something we hear all the time. But it looks like if somebody is hell-bent on wanting to shoot someone, they're going to do so.
Yeah, I remember one of the, I think it's the family members who did not want to talk with the media on air. So that lady mentioned that there must be tight security in courts because it's becoming much dangerous, even not only to the witness or the accused, but it becomes dangerous also to the families who attend court.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Luyanda Danka, the SABC News reporter, covering the story of the shooting outside the Boysens Magistrates Court in Johannesburg, where, 2 people we know killed. Sadly, that's an ongoing story of people, appearing in court or outside, and they then effectively becoming sitting ducks in their own right.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
There's also been, shootings in fact, in Cape Town today. And again, the numbers are just frightening, right? Just to give you the one I understand was in Maitland, right? So if you are from those areas, you can certainly touch on that and just tell me what you know. But this is my understanding, right? 6 people shot dead, 2 injured, so separate incidents in Cape Town, right? The one was in Melk Street in Ndabeni in Maitland. Police were alerted to a passerby who responded to seeing a dog lying in a pool of blood, right? And then they found out that, in fact, 3 women between the ages of 20 and 52 and an adult male were shot. All 4 victims sustained fatal gunshot wounds, all died, and they were declared, deceased on the scene. And that's the one. The other was at a shooting at the Maitland, not to be confused with the town Maitland. This is Maitland Cemetery in Voortrekker Road in Kensington, so this week close to Cape Town proper. 4 males were found with gunshot wounds. 2 men were declared deceased on the scene. 2 others were transported to a medical facility. Again, the allegation or the suspicion is these are gang related. Sorry, just another day, sadly, in South Africa. Let's get back to Parliament's ad hoc committee.
So how would something like that work in?
Well, they disrupted and looked for things against us, and they disrupted investigation, and they were largely successful. But in the end, I think it was Tuchten, Judge Tuchten, we litigated against the interference. And the judgment basically said, and I think we have it here in the bundle, that counter investigations of cops, at the time, so this is critical, I forgot to mention this. Temani Binang was the investigating officer for the tortures and deaths in custody. This Temani Binang, who they hate, he was the investigating officer, and there was cases still going on when they decided now to have a go at him and say he's one of, Patlani's words, rogue unit. and yet the issue stems from previous investigations against the same team. So none of those cases are on the roll at the moment. So these cases are from 2006, 2010, but one is on inquest. That's where it is, strangely on inquest, where the murder issues are very clear. But all those cases, people, they drag them on. It's now 20 years. They'll be sick, they don't come, it doesn't sit. And so on. It's over and over and over, and until it gets struck off the roll provisionally. So there's a few cases. There's one case where the judge listened to the victims, and one victim we suspect was approached, withdrew his statement, said he don't want to carry on with this anymore. And the judge believed, said, well, that whilst there was 3 other witnesses and victims, acting magistrate said, well, if this person withdrew his statement, I'm not going to listen to anyone else. It's unheard of, unprecedented, it's unprocedural. But at that stage, the NPA didn't abuses or alleged abuses, didn't appeal against that decision. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so they kick for touch and then goes on and on and on and on.
Thank you, Mr.
And just to say one thing, it's
No, it's okay. Finally, what has actually come of all these matters? You've mentioned and you've told the committee that there are a number of investigations which were conducted regarding General Pahlane, most of which were led by Cedric Nkabinde. And you've told the committee on details and specifics with demonstrating charge sheets and affidavits. What has come of these matters? Where are they today?
Well, there's 2 matters in court, both corruption matters, both serious corruption, where Pahlane appears with other people in court. They've appeared a few times. On one case, I'm sorry, it's amusing to see him say, bring it on, but he's tried to get it dismissed off the roll over and over and over again. Every trick under the book. He's 7 years old. And the judge pushed it to October and November, just so that's for trial. It's set down. No more, deferring and delaying and distraction. So that's it. A lot of the other cases are still in abeyance. People are still busy with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I invite you to read your paragraph 86 of the statement.
Moreover, some of the criminal matters that Pahlane faces, which were investigated by IPAD, have been set down. Attached hereto are documents in my possession pertaining to this case, which includes a charge sheet as RJM 19A and it says here JM 19B. Finally, General Pahlane and IPAD have been in court for various matters in which General Pahlane has not been successful. To that end, I attach judgments confirming same markers and annexes RJM 20.
Okay. RJM 20, we have already placed on record that it forms part of the exhibit bundle, and we don't need to go through it now for the purposes of this evidence. But can you turn to page 657 of the bundle?
One second, ma'am.
On everyone's bundle, it's going to read as 65 because the number got cut off. But if you look at the next page, it will be 658.
So 657, yeah?
Yeah, 657. That is a charge sheet. Can you read in the date at the top right corner? And perhaps you can tell us, and in comparing, because this is the annexure that you attach to support your paragraph 86.
Date of first appearance is the 21st of the 9th, 2022. Next to the case number and next to date of first appearance.
Who is the accused in that document?
The accused is Johannes Khomotso Pahlane, and the investigating officer is Anthony Sears.
Okay. And then the next page at 658.
658.
Who is the accused in that, on that document?
I'm not sure if it's part of the. Oh, it's Mankosana Agnes Machele, who was the erstwhile acting head of crime intelligence.
Okay. So that is to support that those matters, are those the matters that you're talking about which have now been set down for trial?
Yes, ma'am.
If you can just also read the CAS number into the record.
The CAS number is 565 11 2017.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. McBride. That concludes the task team for Pahlani. However, before we move on from General Pahlani, when he was here last Wednesday, he told us that on the 5th of June 2024, he had an incident in Dunkeld. Do you know anything about that incident that occurred, that took place in Dunkeld, regarding General Pahlani and his wife?
What year was that, ma'am?
2024. On the 5th of June.
I know about one much earlier incident where he was in a fingernail place or something.
Okay, I can jog your memory because you may have not maybe heard that part of his evidence. General Pahlani testified that he had gone to I think a spa, he said, in Dunkeld with his wife, and an incident occurred where they basically they were stopped. I think it may have been at gunpoint, if I'm not mistaken. And he testified that you sent him a message saying, sorry, I just heard. If you know that if you need any help, the offer still stands. Would you like to comment about that? Did you send that message and would you like to comment about that? So two things.
Firstly, the message, I did send a message to him, but it wasn't 2024. It's some time ago. And the message meant to convey, if you want to still cooperate with the investigation and not be scared of repercussions for you, you can speak to us. But it's about 2017. And because I know that after 2017, 2018, I was still in IPED then, not 2024. So after I'd heard that he had done the counter investigation and these people were harassing us, I began a process of ridiculing him. So we couldn't fight back with much. So anytime they came for us, we made jokes about them. So Pahlani got an award for bravery in that matter. And I think there's also a financial reward that goes with it. But I ridiculed him, and I said it in Parliament. How can you get an award for bravery when you slide in on the floor hiding behind cushions?
Yes. But Mr. McBride, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject. I mean, would you like to comment on the text message that you sent that said the offer still stands, specifically after the incident?
If he wants to be a 204 witness, the offer stands.
Okay. And then he also testified that subsequently thereafter, he discovered that there was a copy of a CCTV footage of the attack following the Dunkeld incident, that attack.
Yes.
And he says that he discovered that you were the person who got a hold of the copy.
No. It was on YouTube.
And he says you circulated it into the media. Do you have any comments regarding
No, it's on YouTube. The whole world saw it.
So you distance yourself from that?
It was on YouTube.
Okay. All right. I would like to now shift gears and move on to the next topic. We are now going to look at the section dealing with Mr. Nkabinde.
Yes, thanks.
What we know is that you've given us evidence that at a point he was one of your lead guys investigating the Pahlani complaints into General Pahlani. Okay, so if we can then just, Sorry, I'm just moving.
Sorry, if I can just
Yes.
add in that.
Yes, you may.
By the way, I think it was Minister Nhlego that gave him the award, or under Minister Nhlego's instruction, that he got the award for bravery.
I do understand that it is actually riveting listening, really, listening in to the ad hoc committee. And a lot of it depends on sometimes who the guest is or who the witness is. In this case here, it's Robert McBride who's testifying, right, at the Parliamentary Ad hoc Committee. We'll get back to him as soon as we can. Right now, it's 5 o'clock. We need to get to Greg Host with the news.
Thank you, Ashraf. Police probing fatal court shooting in Ukraine, calls for new air defense missiles. Good day to you. Police are investigating 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder following a shooting incident outside the Boysons Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. 3 men opened fire on a group of people which was allegedly attending court in support of an accused in an attempted murder case. One of the wounded is a lawyer for the accused. Police spokesperson Brenda Muradili.
We know that the suspects fled the scene on foot, but we know that also after they got out of the premises, they were picked up by a white Audi, which is a clone. As when the police were doing preliminary investigations, they determined that that vehicle is a clone. So for now, we have our crime scene management from Forensic Services. We also have the Serious and Violence Crime Unit from Provincial Office that is going to be investigating a case of 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder.
The former head of police watchdog IPID, Robert McBride, has raised serious concern at Parliament's ad hoc committee about the conduct of senior police leadership following the murder of IPID's senior investigator, Mandla Mahlangu. The committee is probing allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the justice system. McBride has questioned the relationship between the KZN Police Commissioner, Nshasha Mkhwanazi, and Mahlangu, specifically the absence of Mkhwanazi at the funeral of a man described as a close friend. This was despite allegedly being first on the scene where Mahlangu was shot and later killed.
For me, it's inconsistent with being a close friend to a person. You're on the scene where they're shot at and when they're murdered, you don't attend the funeral and you're supposed to be a close family member. And that he was on the scene first on 2 occasions when Mandla was shot at, including the fatal one when Mandla was murdered. I would say it's inconsistent, like I said earlier. I don't know whether he had something to do with it or not. There is a trail that leads back to police, but he is under-mentioning of his involvement and closeness.
The latest trade conditions report by the SA Chamber of Commerce and Industry shows a decline in trade activity in December compared to November last year. The Chamber's economist, Richard Downing.
60% of your respondents actually reported sort of tighter conditions. Expectations were actually still high. 70% of your respondents still expect the next 6 months to be better. But this doesn't actually tie up with the current conditions, which is very tight. So perhaps that's a bit of an over-optimistic view in terms of where we're going. And it's not reflected by new orders as such. And international trade, what we saw there is that actually your car sales, motor vehicle sales, actually took quite a dip in December.
The Reserve Bank Governor, Lesotho Kanyako, says the central bank has set its focus on price stability mandate and ensuring that the new inflation target expectations are embedded. He was among the South African delegation at the World Economic Forum, which is underway in Switzerland.
For us, it is not just about inflation, it's also about economic activity. And our response in South Africa is 3-pronged. Firstly, is that the central bank must focus on its price stability mandate, and importantly, that we pursue the new inflation target with vigor and make sure that inflation expectations are embedded. Monetary policy remains focused on dealing with inflation. Secondly, is that these global disruptions and the impact that they would have could lead to the rise in borrowing costs globally, including borrowing costs for South Africa.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's warned that Ukraine urgently needs new air defense missiles. He was speaking after another night of Russian strikes. The BBC's Vera Davis has more.
In an early morning social media message, President Zelensky said last night's Russian attack involved a significant number of ballistic and cruise missiles and more than 300 attack drones. Cities from Rivne in the west, the southern port of Odessa and Zaporizhia were all hit. But again, Kyiv's energy network appears to have been specifically targeted. One energy company in the capital said residents across the city were suffering shortages of power, heating and running water.
Top story, police are investigating 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder following a shooting incident outside the Boysons Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. It's SAFM News, I'm Greg Khos.
In sports this hour, thousands of fans lined the streets of Dakar as Senegal's football team parade AFCON trophy and Proteas women to host India for 5-match T20 series in April. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Christina de Wit Avenue southbound in Pretoria has a crash near Euphorus Road. Jan Smuts Avenue in Rosebank, a crash near Eastwood Road, and Winnie Mandela Drive both ways and 4 ways, slow moving towards Leslie Avenue. In KZN, a stationary vehicle on the N3 southbound after Cliffdale interchange ramp, a crash on the N3 northbound after Peter Brown interchange, and a crash on the N3 northbound at Paradise Valley. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound has a crash at the R304 Klippieville Road exit, Voortrekker Road queuing at the N7 Jacks Hadwell Drive junction, and the M5 northbound queuing towards the N1 Kuburg interchange. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand. When you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Specs and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
You can become a victim of a legal problem. Wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
There are routines we all love. Morning and night skincare routines, exercise routines, even new routines like meal prep, journaling, and chemo. That last one hit differently, didn't it? The truth is, over 99% of cervical cancer cases are linked to the human papillomavirus. So if you're a woman between 15 and 44, act now. Ask your healthcare provider about the HPV vaccine. This message was brought to you by MSD.
In a world of noise, one thing is still clear. Akwele. Introducing the new, still-flavored range from Akwele. Lemon mint, mango passion fruit, blueberry raspberry, peach apricot. Still made from Akwele's 100% natural spring water. Delicious, high in vitamins, low in kilojoules, and still full of joy. It's new, it's refreshing, it's flavored, it's still Akwele.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
I tell you what, there's lots of comments from you, understandably so, and we're going to play those WhatsApp comments later on, maybe after 5:30 or so. But also, there's huge interest in how the former, or how and what the former IPID head Robert McBride is saying in his testimony at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. So let's not miss a pulse beat. Let's get right back to Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee.
And look at the document that you are talking about that has been attached. The document that you are
RGM
talking
21.
about that has been attached.
RGM 21. Page number, please, ma'am. Page number, please, ma'am.
It's in the exhibit bundle.
Exhibit bundle.
Yeah, it's in the exhibit bundle. Do you have the exhibit bundle close to you? Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, the exhibit bundle is not paginated. It just contains a number of documents, but we're looking basically for the document that shows that he was not suspended by you. There, 21. It starts at page. It's in the middle. There's a blue demarcation in the middle.
I have it, ma'am.
Do you have it? Do you have it in front of you?
1 second. So RJM 21 starts with the blue page?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
It is, what are those documents?
The document is a Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council, and it deals with an agreement.
Okay. In the middle of the bundle, because it's not paginated like yours and mine,
Yes, yes.
page 43 of the bundle is a letter from IPID suspending Cedric. It is dated the 4th of June 2018. It's in the middle of the page. And if you turn to the next page, do you see it?
So I'm on
Page
a page
43. If you turn to the next page, that would be page 44.
So 1 second, ma'am, just bear with me.
Should look
So
like
I've
this.
got the,
It is in essence a letter addressed to Cedric Nkabinde from IPID. It's dated the 4th of June 2018. If you turn to the next page, the person who has signed the letter is noted as Miss Patadi Maharaj,
yes, yes,
Provincial Head KZN.
yes, yes.
And the contents of the letter, because you have not reached it, the subject line is precautionary suspension from work, and it details the reason for the suspension.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So we now know that it was Miss Maharaj who suspended Cedric from
Yes, but the
KZN.
notice of intention to suspend was done by Van der Sand, where the process started.
And then on the next page, on the next line, Mr. Cedric says that in his testimony, he says that on the day that the disciplinary hearing was supposed to take place, you arrived at the hearing
Yes, yes.
to try and stop the hearing. Subsequently, after that, there was a settlement that came about. Please, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lie, that's what I mentioned, because his lawyer, Gary Bell, sends a letter to the lawyer representing IPID, saying his instructions from his client are as follows, that the client wishes to resign. It's in my main, yeah, it's 1 second. Yeah, I go through it in 90.2 of my affidavit, but it's an extract from the RGM 22. I don't know where RGM 22 is.
It's at page 732.
732. 1 second. Almost there, ma'am.
Your flag should read 22.
1 second, ma'am. Yeah, it's a letter. It was sent to Arshad Savant, and it's from Gary Lister. And this is what we pulled off from the lawyers now recently. We asked the lawyers to give it to us. So it's Gary Bell from Lister and Company writes the following.
Who is Gary Bell?
He's actually the lawyer of the company that's representing Cedric. So if I remember, he was not at the hearing. And he says, I can even read it from here. He says, as per our discussions relating to an amicable manner in which the matter can be settled, we have taken instructions from our client who has proposed the following. The employee withdraws a disciplinary inquiry and related charges forthwith. This comes from Cedric. Our client will resign with immediate effect. Comes from Cedric. Our client agrees to the employer request to withdraw all of his complaints which have been filed. The settlement agreement will be in full and final settlement. So the issue here, he wants to resign. When a person resigns, you can't discipline them. Can't do anything to them. So that's number one consideration. He's going. I was there to testify. I was scheduled to be a first witness against him. I was going to testify. And when he saw me, he spoke to Moses Dlamini, who was a spokesperson, and said to Moses, is the chief here? Is he going to testify? Hey, I'd rather not testify. I'd rather go. I'd rather resign. That's how it happened. Because he couldn't face me, and the lies has been spreading, all because he didn't get a post, which he didn't even apply for. But yeah, someone got to him.
Sorry to interject. How did you, Cedric was one of your star investigators within IPED.
Yeah.
He was handling a very big matter, dealing with issues that related to an acting national commissioner.
Yeah.
And he was also praised for being one of the great investigators amongst his team members.
Yeah.
And he's filed a number of complaints on behalf of IPED in relation to these particular complaints that we speak about, particularly General Pahlani.
Yeah.
At which point does now Cedric move from being this lead investigator into Pahlani's matters to now sitting before a disciplinary hearing and facing dismissal?
So after he refused to acknowledge he had been approached by cops to make a 204, in other words, to scuttle the investigations, he was removed from the task team by Mr. Sissoko. So he left the task team. And then he went back to his province. And when he went back to his province, he was then further suspended. That is in the investigation section, not in the executive director's office. In any event, he was suspended and all of that. But him leaving the task team made him go crazy. And then these complaints started popping up. We dealt with all the complaints, whether it's public protector, whether it's a PSC, whether it's the one, well, I was not allowed to defend against former Minister Bheki Cele, but it was a lie that Cedric told, and Bheki Cele went on a lie to come and persuade Parliament. And two issues. Cedric Nkabinde.
Fade out there and get back as soon as we can. Reminder, this is the National Pulse.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you commission live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Right, and don't forget you can send us your WhatsApp comments as well. We'll bank them. We're going to play them just now, and perhaps just a good challenge to you. What for you has been the one moment today at our committee hearing that has stood out? In the meantime, just hold on to this, right? And this message is brought to you by Ituba, the proud operator of the National Lottery. So Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rands estimated jackpot for today. It's the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. So play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner, who bagged over 33 million rands via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.coza, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you can dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Right, and let's get a feel for the pulse by crossing to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. Again, the voice of Robert McBride.
I'm not part of NPA. I'm not a prosecutor. The duty of an investigator is to make the case and submit it, and they must decide whether they're going to prosecute or not. So that's what happened. So I cannot do anything for Phahlane. There's nothing I can do. To mention my name, try and put me under pressure. It doesn't do anything to me. And Cedric said he lied. Well, I'm showing that Cedric lied. I'll deal with lie number 3 just now. Lie number 3 is Cedric says that there was a conspiracy against Phahlane to falsely target him. No, it's not true. Sequence of events leading up to this Damascus moment is, according to the lie, the Bryant O'Sullivans. This lie has been mentioned before in support of Phahlane after Nkabinde had been found out as a double agent and after he had been removed from the task team. I have furnished the evidence leader with the affidavits of Kuba Sissoko and various investigating officers, as well as the recording of telephone conversations between Nkabinde and Mandla Mahlangu and the transcripts of the same. As I have also given the evidence leader recording of a telephone conversation between Khomo and Mahlangu. Attached hereto is a copy of the statement dated 24th of July 2018, deposed to by Kuba, marked RJM 23. Yeah, so that's a lie. So based on the lie Cedric told, I mean, at some stage, these Cedric's allegations landed up in a cash-in-transit WhatsApp group that was made up of policemen and security companies. And Mabula, the same guy that Phahlane calls up to help him fight against us, drops it on that group, this complaint of Cedric, until one of the other members of the group from the security company said, but this has got nothing to do with cash in transit. Why are you dropping it here? When I heard it, I tried to make contact with the Minister Cele because I knew Cedric's communication was with Cele's office over and over and over again. Then I went to see the minister. Minister, what is this? Minister Peggy says to me, no, it's true. I got the document from Mabula. He sent it through an intermediary. I took the document as it was and locked it in my safe, and it never left my safe. So I don't know how it got out onto the group. So why would a full whole minister explain to me about the document he took and put in his safe? Well, what is he trying to explain? In any event, he used that to smear my name in this arm of the state, the legislature. He used that, which is based on a lie. I've shown now Cedric's lies. I've shown many of his lies. So to use it, for me not to, my contract to be extended, even though there was an impeccable record, IPID was stepping up. It was taking on the big guns, the dangerous men, the criminals with badges, the criminals in blue. Minister Trele and the entire committee, except for a few people. I think one of them was Honorable Diane Kohler Barnard, who resisted. Philip Mhlongo from EFF, who was a family friend and who was close to my father, phoned me and said, Becky's flashing around here a paper which says you an enemy agent. Comrade Robert, I'm so disgusted by this man. I've always knew there's something wrong with him. He does that, but anyway, the most painful one was none of the others, not Ramatlakana. Ramatlakana is a serial he's a serial defector. But the one that pained me was Jerome Marke, because I respect Jerome Marke. Jerome Marke was hardcore liberation fighter and been twice to Robben Island, so I respected him. Why he's turned against me? So somebody, that's why, Honorable Chief Whip, your job is very important. How you guide people and not let their minds get fooled by the likes of Nkabinde.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Chairperson, Mr. McBride told us that Mr. Nkabinde was to be a 204, and that's how the transition moved from him being a star investigator to now supporting Mr. General Pahlane. We see that also in your papers that he subsequently he's been filing affidavits as a complainant in General Pahlane's matters.
Yes.
And now he's switched in support of General Pahlane. He files a supporting affidavit, an answering affidavit.
Yes.
Do you have any comments about that?
Well, Cedric Nkabinde is just a greedy person who wants acknowledgement without putting the work in and likes money. I mean, we are aware of him buying like 10 suits at a time and stuff like that. But that's part of an investigation. I can't speak about ongoing investigations. I'm sorry, it's not I'm refusing. It's not my investigation. It started off when I was at IPID. So he likes the flashy style, the money. By the way, he refused to tell this committee what he did on a weekend with General Mkhwanazi. I noticed that. He said it's a boys' weekend out, so he can't talk about it. So there's some secret business went on there.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. McBride. If I can now just point us back to we're at the tail end of our statement.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are now at 92.5 of the statement. In that section, you deal with the former public protector, Ms. Mkhwebane, I think it's Advocate Mkhwebane, tried to stop Nkabinde's disciplinary proceedings against, she tried to intervene basically in Nkabinde's disciplinary proceedings. Do you have any comments about that?
No, it's true. And also Peggy also tried to, at the same time, forbid me from going ahead. And I've sent him an information note saying, it's not actually by me, it's by the head of legal, saying it is what I testified now. His supervisor suspended him. It's not McBride.
Yeah.
And you're interfering with the independence of IPID now.
If I can just perhaps read your statement into the record, you say, when that attempt failed by the public protector, the former public protector, she subsequently conducted an unlawful investigation in favor of Nkabinde, recommending that my team and I be charged. These findings were set aside by the High Court, and you attach the judgment at JM 24A and B of the bundle. Perhaps just for the sake of completion, if we could turn to those annexures.
What number, ma'am? Page number?
I will show you. It forms part of the exhibit bundle.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, the exhibit bundle. And the exhibit bundle is sectioned off by
and the City of Cape Town's fire and rescue services are battling a blaze. It's in Hout Bay. We'll have all those details and more at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound queuing towards Boysons and Beyers-Naudé Drive northbound in Melville, slow moving towards Thomas Bowler Street. In KZN, the M4 southbound slow moving towards the N2 highway exit and the M7 westbound slow moving towards Belleville Road exit. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound has a crash before Durban Road and the R304 northbound queuing towards Botlaray Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
And to me, you still have your eye on Senegal.
I do. Thousands of fans have filled the streets of Dakar as the Senegal's football team parade their Africa Cup of Nations trophy. The players arrived late last night from Morocco and were welcomed by the president and other government officials. The parade started around 3 p.m. this afternoon and will pass through several neighborhoods before ending at the presidential palace. And if you just look at some of the video clips on social media, a lot of people are celebrating with the football team. Meanwhile, Betway Premiership action continues tonight as Kaizer Chiefs host Golden Arrows at the FNB Stadium at 7:30. Chiefs are fourth on the log with 24 points and are unbeaten in the league since August, while Golden Arrows are 10th with 16 points and coming off 3 straight league losses. At the same time, Sekhukhune United face Stellenbosch at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane. Sekhukhune are third on the table with 25 points and will look to keep the pressure on the leaders while Stellies sit just above the relegation zone and will be hoping for a strong start under new coach Gavin Hunt in his first match in charge.
You cannot prioritize things in football. I think it leads to you can get caught with your pants down. So let's try and concentrate on the next game, which is Tuesday. Let's go to the next game after that. If you start thinking, well, CAF is not important, or Nedbank's not important, or this game's not important, and that happens. You see teams change. People get rest. I won't rest people if I feel obviously they really got to be tight for me to rest. You know what I mean? Rotation and those type of things. Obviously, within reason. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important just calm down and concentrate on the next game.
Meanwhile, it's Champions League night and Inter Milan face a tough test at home against Arsenal, the only team which hasn't lost a game in the competition so far. Inter need a positive result after losing their last match, especially as they aim to finish in the top 8. Real Madrid host Monaco at the Santiago Bernabeu and Madrid sits 7th in the standings. A win would go a long way towards securing their place in the next round. Meanwhile, Manchester City are probably a win away from securing their place in the round of 16. They are away to Bodo Glimt, who are winners, but still in a playoff contention. And also Tottenham Hotspur taking on Borussia Dortmund. These are some selected fixtures for this evening. In cricket South Africa has confirmed a 5-match T20 international series between the Proteas women and India in April. The World Cup finalists will meet in Durban, Johannesburg and Benoni from the 17th to the 27th of April, with Kingsmead hosting the opening 2 matches. One Wanderers staging back-to-back fixtures and Wilmore Park concluding the series. It'll be the Proteas women's final assignment before the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in England, where they face Australia, Pakistan, India, and 2 qualifiers in Group 1. In terms of tennis, Gael Monfils bid an emotional farewell to the Australian Open. This is after first round defeat to Dane Sweeney. The 39-year-old French crowd favourite battled for nearly 4 hours before the Australian qualifier won 6-7, 7-5 and 6-4 and 7-5. Now, Monfils announced last year that 2026 would be his final season. He received a standing ovation and on-court presentation after his 20th campaign in Melbourne. Meanwhile, former US Open champion Sloane Stephens is out of the Australian Open. This is after a first-round defeat to Karolina Pliskova. Pliskova claimed a 7-6 and 6-2 win in straight sets, and Stephens had battled through qualifying to reach the main draw, but was unable to extend her run. In terms of rugby, Sharks interim coach JP Peterson says that their early exit from the Investec Champions Cup shows once again how important away matches are in European competitions. The Durban team did everything they could to win at home on Saturday, beating Clermont Auvergne 50-12 at the Kings Park and scoring 8 tries. However, results in other matches went against the Sharks. Toulouse's big 77-7 win over the Sale Sharks in France pushed the Sharks down to 5th place in their pool, ending their campaign. And Peterson says that South African teams cannot depend only on strong home performances if they want to succeed in Europe.
To reach round 16 is you have to win away. It is what it is, and you can see what Bristol did. Loftus, they came here, they won. That's something we need to get better. As South African teams, you have to win away games.
Finally, in motorsport, Mercedes chief designer John Owen will leave the Formula One team later this year. The 52-year-old has been with the outfit since 2007 when it was Honda and played a key role in Braun's 2009 title triumph and Mercedes' dominant run of 7 drivers and 8 constructors championships between 2014 and 2021. Now, Mercedes confirmed that Owen will oversee the transition to his successor before taking gardening leave, and his next career move has not been disclosed as yet. On that note, it is a wrap from my side. Yesterday I was not here to confirm my predictions. I was right with Senegal. However, I got it wrong with Egypt.
You said Egypt will win.
I said Egypt
Nigeria.
will win, but Nigeria
Did
won.
you make any other? You refused to predict Man United, Man City. I know, right? Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Well, that just as well you didn't predict it then. 2-0, but could have been 6. Yeah. Anyway.
With that said, ke nna tumeng kgapele Modimo ke o.
30-year-old Dineo knows all about saving on her car insurance with Outsurance.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 rand monthly saving on Dineo's 2025 Kia Sonet. And she'll get an out bonus.
If I'm claim-free for 3 years, then I get an out bonus back.
Ready to see how much money Outsurance could save you? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Watchdog, why is there a horse in your driveway?
You ride savvy. Why drive a Mustang when you can ride one?
What the missus say?
Well, she had a bit of a long face, but now she's stable.
If you need a backup plan, WeBuyCars can sort you out.
Nah, savvy. This thing is eco-chic.
Stop horsing around, cowboy. Rather get one of these from WeBuyCars.
What's the horsepower on that thing?
More than one, Dorf. More than one.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. WeBuyCars, geared for adventure, geared for you.
In a world of noise, one thing is still clear. Akwele. Introducing the new, still-flavored range from Akwele. Lemon mint, mango passion fruit, blueberry raspberry, peach apricot. Still made from Akwele's 100% natural spring water. Delicious, high in vitamins, low in kilojoules, and still full of joy. It's new, it's refreshing, it's flavored, it's still Akwele.
By the way, talking about impossible, what about that Joburg Super Kings game against, was it Pretoria Capitals, where the Pretoria Capitals were in trouble, 5 wickets down, 7 runs, scored, and they actually went on to win the match. And that was like impossible. And then a depleted, or rather demoralized Joburg Super Kings plays the Paarl team 2 days later, not expecting to win in Paarl, and they win the game. So there we are. That's cricket for you, right? Okay, talking about winning, this message is brought to you by Ituba, the proud operator of the National Lottery. So Mzansi Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rands estimated jackpot for today, which is the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. So play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner, who bagged over 33 million rands via the National Lottery platform. Get your tickets now in store on nationallottery.coza, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you can dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Well, I wonder what one may count on today. Jimmy Oya hosts the show as always, from 6 to 7 every evening here on the SAFM Market Update. Jimmy, you've got news about Eskom and this residential solar systems that may infuriate some people, I think.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. I think if you have a residential solar system, you might want to be looking or listening in on this conversation, because Eskom is potentially looking to continue down that path of ensuring that solar users are registered, even though the legislation doesn't seem to carve out a clear mandate that solar systems need to be registered. We're going to take a look at this. We're going to unpack the implications of this for consumers and whether or not there can be penalties if you are not registered. We know we've gone back and forth with this particular conversation on several occasions, and we're going to see if we can get a bit more clarity around it from what it is that the current legislation says and what the law would say around that matter. We also have a conversation taking a look at the new framework that is being proposed by the National Debt Counselling Association, where it relates to debt counselling conversations. Some of these conversations can be very difficult to have, especially if you're having them with the wrong individuals. And we're going to take a look at this proposed framework that would potentially look to revamp the debt counselling landscape. Then we have a conversation with the team at Transnet. We're going to speak to the Transnet CEO. She's currently in Davos in Switzerland. We're going to take a look at the Transnet value proposition and investment conversation that is taking place in Switzerland, what it is that we are putting forward from an investment point of view as South Africa and as the official logistics and transport state-owned entity that is a Transnet. And then we're going to have a conversation with the team at Weber Wenzel, trying to understand the challenge that SARS is potentially looking to put forward in a tax court, where we could be in for some surprises if you look to challenge an assessment by SARS against your tax affairs that could end up costing you more potentially. We're going to take a look at that and see what those implications could be for South Africans. And then it is Tuesday. We're going to wrap up the show with a property conversation. We're going to be taking a look at how last year's property trends and this year's property moves are going to potentially impact the property market, particularly at a residential level, looking at both the buyer and seller sides of the markets. And we're going to see if we are still very much in the buyer's market that we were in last year, and how buyers and sellers alike can take advantage of the current conditions that are favorable in the property space. Before we get to those conversations, though, a sense of market movements throughout the day. I remember early this morning taking a look at the gold price and being happy that we were above $4,700 a finance, because that aligns with what I've been calling on the gold price, saying we might get to $5,000 a finance. For a bit of context, in rand terms, it is almost 2.5 million rand per kilogram of gold at these current levels, $4,729 a finance, up about 1.3% on the day's trade. If we look at the silver pricing, $93.53 a finance, platinum $2,437, palladium $1,884, now heading towards $1,900 a finance there, up almost 3% on the day's trade. All these positive commodity movements meant that the resources sector was up 2.2% on the day's trade. Industrials were down 1.1%. Financials up about 8 basis points, but that stronger resources move meant that the All Share and the Top 40 closed out the day about 0.33% stronger in either case. And that's quite the telling sign, because if we look at international markets, they were all in the red. There was not a single international market that was spared being in the red. The biggest, or I suppose the smallest loser in Asian markets would have been the Shanghai Shanghai index down up only about 8 basis points, whereas if we look at European markets, the biggest loser there was the DAX in Germany, down 1.2%. The FTSE in London was down 1%. The Nasdaq is currently down 1.75%. The S&P down 1.5%. Even the Dow Jones down 1.4%. Very interesting as we head into what could potentially be quite the conversation. We know that President Donald Trump is set to address the Davos delegation tomorrow, and we'll look to see how that is going to shape up. But markets already starting to dissect some of the statements that President Trump made as he landed in Europe, saying that he would not let up on the Greenland issue and that he would be willing to challenge the European countries that stood against him on that matter. So we're going to look at that as well. We're going to see if we can make sense of how that's going to continue to affect markets. But before we go, a quick sense of the Rand. 16 Rand 39 cents against the US dollar, 22 Rand 6 cents against the British pound, 19 Rand 21 against the euro, 11 Rand and 4 cents against the Australian dollar. One Bitcoin is now down back at the $90,000 a coin level, almost 90,500. In Rand terms, with that stronger Rand, we are back below 1.5 million Rand per Bitcoin, around 1.483 million Rand. We're going to take a look at these other movements on the market side when we come back around 6 p.m. or just after the 6 p.m. news rather. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
Right, thank you for that, Jimmy. Yeah, enjoy your show, 6 to 7, the SFM market update. Right, we know this, so we're going to cross to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee next.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you Commission Live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Right, this message is brought to you by Ituba. Mzansi Powerball is skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rands estimated jackpot for today. It's the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. So play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner who bagged over 33 million rands via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you could dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Robert McBride certainly saying lots of things, and we just feel there's a need for you to, well, not miss a pulse beat. So let's get back to Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee.
The service provider, which is Wimpy Mantata of the Blue Lights, who is also a co-accused in the case of the Blue Lights case in Johannesburg, registered as a Hillbrow case, but it's in the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crimes Court.
Just to provide context, what is the Blue Lights case?
It's a case which involves the instruments that are attached to a police vehicle so that it's able to be utilized for police. And Blue Lights is just reference to one of the aspects that put on, namely it's the emergency lights. They refer to them blue lights because they're blue, but they are emergency lights. And the service provider fitted those things on a range of cars.
Yeah. So your evidence is that Mr. Nkabinde was speaking to suspects at the time regarding cases that had ongoing investigations. Yeah. Was he doing that in his capacity as an investigator? Where was Cedric Nkabinde at the time in July, on the 19th of July, 2018?
From memory, he was off the investigation team. I can't remember the date of his disciplinary or what date he resigned on. I can check it, it's here. Yeah, but I'm not sure. He was not on the task team, according to statements from the analyst and from Sissoko. He was not on the task team. Okay. So why is he talking to suspects? And he talks to Patlani also before he makes a statement in Patlani's favor. And evidence, but I'm not involved in the case, so I only know a little bit from what I hear. He's the lawyer of Patlani also, BDK lawyer. Yeah, I want to sit in here. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Arendse. Thank you, Mr. McBride. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Advocate Mkhize, and well done. Just a few miscellaneous questions.
Yes, sir.
Firstly, about Mr. O'Sullivan.
Yes, sir.
You know about this book that he wrote, and there was a gathering at Radovan Krejcir's former place.
Yes.
Which he bought, and he had the book launch there.
Yes.
And he invited. That's the meeting that
that's
Mr. Kabindi referred to.
Yes, sir. That is a meeting refers to. No one was aware that it's Radovan Krejcir's house. We're given an address, we must go there, and it's for. I'm not even worried if it's Radovan Krejcir's house. We're invited to a braai. Krejcir is in jail, and I don't even know who the journalist is there. Apparently, the journalist was writing a book, and I've just heard like a few days ago on Krejcir, and Krejcir had just been sentenced, and there's a book called Joining the Dots, which Paul is giving out. So we thought it's a normal Christmas braai or something like that. Yeah. But in any event, that braai played no part in Cedric Nkabinde's Damascene event, because he stayed as a lead investigator for a long time. So that's 2016 December. In 2017, he's leading the investigations. And it's only in 2018 now he starts making contact with the suspects. But by then he's blown.
Now, you described Mr. O'Sullivan as eccentric.
Yes, others use stronger words.
Now, it seems to me from the objective facts that he claims to have brought down Jackie Selebi and, of course, Radovan Krejcir and others. But do you know whether he was a witness in any of those cases?
According to me, sir, he wasn't a witness in any of these cases, and he's not a policeman.
Is he a witness in the two criminal cases you referred to that General Pashlani is facing?
Certainly not, sir. Certainly not.
So, what can one infer from that? What is his modus operandi? What's his, obviously in English, what is the way, how does he operate?
Well, we call it COA, Center of Attention. He's always the main man. Like some people say, everyone's a hero in their own story. But he a bit more. Yeah.
Well, can you tell us a bit more, because the allegation is made that he infiltrated or has infiltrated IPID, he's infiltrated the South African police services. In fact, he controls them. And we know from the Constitutional Court judgment, of course, that you need to do so without fear or favor, and you must act independently without external influences. There's an allegation that he's an external influence, and therefore he compromises the work that IPID does.
Yeah. So my response to that is, on two occasions, I basically brought him to order about pushing ahead with investigations. And each occasion, which was different, he didn't speak to me for a few months. So he went on a sulk because On the second occasion, I was forced to tell him in front of other people, quite hard. Even the same Inkabinde came to me and said, "No, Chief, you're too hard." And so he sulks a bit when he doesn't get his way. So getting his way is important. But to imagine that he controls, I mean, I said it also in Portfolio Committee, when this thing came up in 2017 from Patlani. Now, that if there's anyone in the entire world tells you they control me to do wrong things, show me that person, I will show you a liar. That nobody controls me to do wrong things. If you hear one day someone told me to do this and that and I did it, that's a blue lie. So no one can do that. In fact, even the head of investigation, IPE at the time, Matthew Sissoko, even called the team in and warned them, listen, the guy talks too much, I can't use all the words he said. So deal with him with circumspection. He has information, his information is accurate, but be aware, that's what he told the investigators. And that's what we agreed to. And that's what we carried out. So on one occasion now recently, which I haven't spoken to him since, he said he paid for my constitutional matter with the Helen Suzman Foundation for me. Of course, fortunately, I didn't have to defend myself. Helen Suzman Foundation defended themselves and says it's a lie. Now, the issue is this. If you have any idea about Helen Suzman Foundation or the lady who it's named after, they are fiercely independent. They will not tolerate anyone telling them what to do. That alone will tell them, whether, even if you go and look at CASAC, you go and look at freedom under law, they are not, you're not going to push them around. My experience from them are solid people. And their interest is not Robert McBride or anybody else. Their interest is constitutional order. That one which Mkhonazi was doing a show of force against.
Now Can I check with yourselves, Advocate Arends and Mr. McBride, how much time do you need? Because I thought that Advocate Mukiza was the last.
Another 10 minutes, Honorable Chair.
10 minutes. Yeah. 10 minutes. There is an important announcement which we must make here. So if it's 10 minutes, it's okay. I can tolerate that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. You mentioned in your evidence that he does sometimes come up. He seems to be like a Don Quixote. He does sometimes come up with some bird-brained ideas or theories or allegations.
Yeah.
But somewhere in there, it's a bit of hit and miss. Now, I mention that because there is the one concrete example of this. I think it's a colonel, Munsami.
Yes,
It's in the papers.
Yes.
Who and it was referenced by my colleague, Advocate Mkhize.
Yeah, yeah.
Where he ultimately ends up writing to O'Sullivan and said, I have now exhausted all avenues of complaint.
Yes.
So I'm coming to you with this complaint.
Yeah.
Is that still rife? In other words, is that how Mr. O'Sullivan perhaps still not influences, but he comes to law enforcement agencies with allegations made by people which he requires to be investigated?
Well, yeah. Besides the weird and wonderful ideas he has, sometimes he comes with solid stuff. So it's not worthwhile ignoring him totally or not engaging with him, because he's got knowledge and people trust him because he does something. The biggest problem in South Africa is, public confidence in the criminal justice system. And if the criminal justice system fails them, they will go to a civilian like Paul O'Sullivan and get the respite they require there. So I think we must rather look at ourselves in that. Because otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for a person to use his own energy and resources chasing after put.
My sense is that all this will continue tomorrow as well, of course, which means analysis will come from tonight's shows, evening, as well as Tula's show in the morning. So listen out for all of that. This has been the National Pulse. Very different, of course, when we have guests of the, of the impact that they make, like Robert McBride. And tomorrow, of course, the issue of the ad hoc committee will continue. Now, it means, unfortunately, we couldn't take much of your calls or WhatsApps in the latter part. My apology for that. But feel free to connect and stay engaged with us all throughout the show and every other show, today, tomorrow, whenever. This is the National Pulse right now. It's 6 o'clock. Here's the news with Greg.
Thank you again, Ashraf. 2 bodies discovered in Mpumalanga mine and police probing fatal court shooting. Good day to you. Police have discovered 2 bodies near the Lily mine at Barberton and in Mpumalanga. Police spokesperson Jabu Ndubane says they received a tip-off. Officers then found the bodies covered with blankets. One of the bodies has been identified as that of someone originally from Eswatini. Police have called on members of the public to assist with any information to help identify the other body. Police are investigating 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder.